All right, everyone, it's May 22nd, 2013. Let me ask you, does the false prophet of the book of Revelation, I mean obsession with possession, is he obsessed with the devil? Here's the headline. I'll put the link below. Image of Pope Francis with faithful leads to suspicion. He performed an exorcism. You can see the photo here with his hands placed on the head of this person. Is Pope Francis an exorcist? Well, he comes from the Jesuit order, and they seem to have some kind of communication with the devil. The question has been swirling ever since Francis laid his hand Sunday on the head of a young man after celebrating Mass in St. Peter's Square. The young man heaved deeply, a half-dozen times, shook, and he then slumped in his wheelchair as Francis prayed over him. The television station of the Italian Bishops' Conference said it had surveyed exorcists who agreed there was no doubt that Francis either performed an exorcism or a prayer to free the man from the devil. The Vatican was more cautious Tuesday in a statement. It said Francis didn't intend to perform an exorcism. It was an accident. He didn't mean to perform an exorcism. But as he often does for the sick or suffering, he simply intended to pray for someone who was suffering, who was presented to him. Fueling the speculation is Francis's obsession with Satan. He has an obsession with possession. He has an obsession with Satan, a frequent subject of his homilies, and an apparent surge in demand for exorcisms among the faithful, despite the irreverent treatment the right often receives from Hollywood. I need to get a drink of coffee. Clear my throat. Oh my goodness. Is this the Vatican? Is this Rome? Who can forget the green vomit and the spinning head of the possessed girl in the 1973 cult classic The Exorcist? I know. I can't forget that. In his very first, I hope I pronounced this right, homily as Pope on March 14, Francis warned cardinals gathered in the Sistine Chapel the day after he was elected that he who doesn't pray to the Lord prays to the devil. He has since mentioned the devil on a handful of occasions. It seems like he talks about the devil quite a bit. He has mentioned the devil on a handful of occasions. Most recently, in a May 4th homily, when in his morning Mass in the Vatican Hotel Chapel, he spoke of the need for dialogue, except with the devil. With the prince of this world, you can't have dialogue. Let this be clear, he warned. Experts said Francis' frequent invocation of the devil is a reflection both of his Jesuit spirituality, there we go, the order of the Jesuits, the Black Pope, his frequent invocation, evoking the devil, is a reflection both of his Jesuit spirituality, his Latin American roots, and a reflection of a Catholic Church weakened by secularization. The devil's influence and presence in the world seems to fluctuate in quantity, inversely proportionate to the presence of Christian faith, said the Reverend Robert Gall, a theologian at Rome's Pontifical Holy Cross University. So one would expect an upswing in his malicious activity in the wake of de-Christianization and secularization in the world, and a surge in things like drug use, pornography, and superstition. In recent years, Rome's Pontifical Universities have hosted several courses for would-be exorcists on the right, updated in 1998 and contained in a little red leather-bound booklet. The rite is relatively brief, consisting of blessings with holy water, prayers, and an interrogation of the devil. Let's interrogate the devil. Let's question the devil. Even the archangel, even Michael knew, don't confront the devil. So let's confront the devil. Let's see what happens. Maybe some crucifix will come flying. Prayers and an interrogation of the devil, in which the exorcist demands to know the devil's name. What's your name, devil? And when When are you going to pack your bags and leave the possessed person? Only a priest authorized by a bishop can perform an exorcism. Oh, really? And canon law specifies that the exorcist must be endowed with piety, knowledge, prudence, and integrity. While belief in the devil is consistent with church teaching, the Holy See does urge prudence, particularly to ensure that the afflicted person isn't merely psychologically ill. That's for another video. We'll talk about that. A lot of misdiagnosis with the diagnosed as having schizophrenia. We'll talk about that's another video. And they're medicated. The demon gets sleepy. The Reverend Giulio Masperio, a Rome-based systematic theologian who has witnessed or participated in more than a dozen exorcisms, says he's certain that Francis' prayer on Sunday was either a full-fledged exorcism or a prayer to liberate the young man from a demonic possession. He noticed that the placement of the Pope's hands on the man's head was a typical position for an exorcist to use. When you witness something like that, for me it was shocking. I could feel the power of prayer, he said in a phone interview, speaking of his own experience. It's quite a long article, a little bit more, but I'm going to put the link below so to save time. So let me know what you think. Look what's happening here. Look at the placement of his hands. Look at the man's mouth is open here. Alright. Does Peter the Roman, Pope Francis, have an obsession with possession, invoking the devil? What do you think? Leave me your comments.